Welcome to Attican Plays Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. All right, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Series 4, Episode 22 of Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. Now, I have played ahead, as you can see. I didn't mean to. I kind of got caught up in the game a little bit. And if you'll remember in 21, we kind of built our 2-year plan for setting up our meat industry and turning off our imports and running our tests and seeing if we've made it and if we've hit our goals. And so let's see, where should I start? Let's start right here. Let's start here with our coal and our power. If you'll notice, we've got a little something missing here. I had thought, well, these people are not as healthy as they could be because of the pollution that was being created here. It was creeping into this town, and the people here were having a life expectancy in the low 60s versus out here where it's 85. So if we think about that for a second, the way the game works, each person only lasts 4 years. Now they accelerate the time, because if they didn't, your education system wouldn't mean anything. I mean, if you think about it, we're in 1972. We started in 60, so we've been playing about 12 years. So if the game actually simulated time in a, quote, realistic, unquote, way, our education system would be almost meaningless, because the people who worked in our republic would be the same people who worked in our republic the whole time. And the people who were teenagers and students in our republic would be the same people the whole time. And if you did or didn't educate them, at the end of the day, it wouldn't even matter unless you played the game for 20, 30, 40 years. So they speed up the time in order to make things count, like the education system. So we have to deal with that as game players. We have to deal with that and figure out how to use that to our advantage or whatever, or at least how to keep it from being a disadvantage. So that's why we set up our schools and all that good stuff. But anyway, the point is, when you have people like here who live into their 80s as a life expectancy, if you think about it, that's 4 years, they get 20 years is a year. Right? 20 years of this person's life is 1 year of gameplay on this calendar up here. So these people that were living in their 60s and dying versus these people, they were only getting, if you think of it, these 80s are getting 4 years of life. They're getting 1 year where they're a baby or a student, so they're not productive, and 3 years where they could be productive workers. Well, these people were getting 1 year of being babies and students and only 2 years of being productive. So we were losing a third of the potential productivity of everybody who lived right there. Not to mention the fact that it just seems wrong to let people live in such poor health and die so early. It's kind of West Virginia disease with black lung. We don't want that. So, I moved all these people away and blew up all these things, blew up the school and the nursery here and all the parks. I also, because of that, now the bus system doesn't work properly. I had a bus over here that can't get any people. This bus is kind of messed up too. So I basically took out all the buses that were running to these coal ore processing and to the power plants and shut them down. So this whole industry right here is basically on hold. It's just shut down. So we've got our steel mill is importing coal, and it's getting plenty of iron, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But we have shut down the power, and we're importing power again. You can see it's not exactly killing us. We're doing just fine. It's sort of, if you think about the grand impact of things, if we'd never done this, we wouldn't be much different than we are today. And I can say the same thing I'm sorry, a little fatalism coming into my attitude here, but had we never built these farms and never built Artist Gilmore, we would be in the same shape we're in today. It really isn't adding to our republic because we're not doing enough crops to really make a difference. We're just, kind of 10% of the crops we need, as we saw from the analysis last video. And this guy is not working. The boards and stuff, I don't know what to tell you. There's trees all over the place. And I just think this needs to be fixed. If I go back, I can go back and replant, you know, kind of groom Artis's afro here, but it's not going to, you know, if the representation on the screen is that there's trees here, how am I supposed to know when I do and don't have trees? So I think there's some opportunity for improvement right there. But anyway, at the end of the day, if we didn't have boards exported, if we didn't have those few crops that we have, if we didn't spend the money on all this line and all this construction and everything else, other than the nice exercise of actually building this with construction management, it didn't mean a thing. Now, different up here. This area means a lot. This is our money maker, our refinery. Our food, alcohol, clothing are also good money makers, and they're providing all of our citizens. And providing the citizens is actually more important. It actually has a greater economic impact when you can provide goods to your citizens. So we've got, you know, so if I'm kind of critiquing us a little bit, or critiquing me, things I really like, things I really don't like. I like the concept of industry set away, obviously, from the city, because you have to with the new pollution. With the new pollution, you've just got to stay away from your productivity. And I personally like having high efficiency factories. I cringe when I think about building them a different way. Although, having said that, I may go here in a near future video and do something totally different, just as an experiment. But anyway, more on that later. I like that. I also very much like having the university accessible to your people, either by a bus line or a train line or by walking, so that you get those students up to university level, and that makes them very flexible. It means they can work in a refinery, they can work in City Hall, they can work in a hospital, they can do whatever. So like that. What I don't like are things like this whole city is haphazard. Not my best effort. Didn't really think of it as a module to plug in. And what I'm really liking, I'll show you in a minute, the alternative. But at any rate, you know, I just feel like I'm piecemealing stuff in here, and it's just without a plan, and it's just irritating me. Don't mean to be too hard on myself, because this is going quite well, but just the same, there's so many. I'm just trying to look for opportunities to improve. And I do love, I love the idea, even though it's, the roundabouts have saved, to me, the whole train system, because you can actually have a double track train system as long as you use the roundabouts. Now, and I want to show you one other couple of things I did to make them even better. Right here, if you are a train coming this way, going up the screen, going up toward Mocha and up toward the oil fields, I've put in 2 passing lanes. So if you're a train coming down up like this, coming up the screen, then when you get to right here, you can decide, you can keep going this way and you can take the roundabout, or you can take this path here. And if you take this path here, you have 2 options right here. You can either go over here if you need to use this roundabout, like say you're going to go over this way, or you can take this option here and just bypass all the roundabouts and come back into the system up here. So that has really improved the throughput, because now we don't have trains queuing up here that really don't want to mess with this roundabout, or conceivably even this roundabout. So for example, these oil trains, like this guy, when he, is that the oil train? Oh no, that's meat. Okay, we'll get into meat in a minute. But here, is this an oil train? Yeah, here. Like this guy, he wants to just go back to the oil fields. He doesn't want to mess with these roundabouts. Now he doesn't have to. He can go. He can just go right around them. So I've got that done. I've got what else? What else? There's another one. Oh yeah, right here. Got a passing lane here, so that if you're going this way back toward the refinery, you can take this passing lane and not mess with the roundabout. Eventually, I'll come up with some way to do it. I mean, we could do a bridge, of course, and bypass the roundabout going the other way. But it basically comes down to, right now, if you're on a side that doesn't have a turn lane, so in other words, if nothing's going out this way, you can build this passing lane and just speed things up. But if you do have the turn, like if you're coming that way down the screen, that's different. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm just trying to speed up the throughput because we're now starting to run more and more trains as we grow. All right, what else? What else? Well, you want the meat. The meat. Here's how we did the meat. Okay, and here's an example of what I like. I loved what we did with the refinery up there when we supercharged it and gave it a new community. I like this. There's one flaw I don't like, but otherwise I like this. What I have here is the way we're going to do the meat. Now, we had calculated it's going to be a 12 flat solution, and that would support 6 livestock ranches and a slaughterhouse. So what I did, let's go up here and see how this works first. So we're targeting 8% efficiency on our meat industry, which is hard for me to say, but that's what we're doing. So what I did was set up 6 livestock ranches and set them up with 2 of these stockyards. So and these are stockyards, they're not halls or ranges. Okay, so this is a place to accumulate a bunch of livestock. So we're basically creating them here. We're importing crops, and we're also trucking down some crops from up here as they come available to some of these. So we've got these 6. These 3 feed into a livestock stockyard, which feeds directly to the slaughterhouse. So these 3 can, in effect, go straight to the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse, of course, goes straight here to meat storage. Then, on the other side, these 3 feed into a hall as well, but then it's directly connected to a road cargo station, and I've got a couple of trucks that just make this super short little run right here to take the livestock, over to the slaughterhouse, and you can see they're keeping up just fine. And I had, so then, you got to get people up here. And there's a fire station right up here. Now, why is it up here? Because that way it covers the farm and all of this, and it provides coverage back down here to our city. And then we've got a road connection to this other city here. We've got another fire station, where is it? Right there, which... another fire station right there, which can provide fire coverage down here on this end if needed. So we've got our fire coverage, and we've got our basic downtown. We've got a train platform. We've got shopping and hospital, cinema, and pub, and everybody can walk to all of that of the 12. These 4 here, these 4 here, these 4 here. That's kind of the original design. And then I thought, no, I want more education. I want these people to have an opportunity to get that university degree. I want these people to have that opportunity. So I built the one we don't have, the headquarters of the Communist Party. So we've got the headquarters of the Communist Party. It works just like a college or university. Folks go here and they get their 5 hours of education, and they gradually go from a 1.0 to a 2.0 education. So I've got this set up where, so added 4 flats to support this. All right. So now we've got a 16 flat city or village, however you want to look at it, a module. And each of the modules has a school, a kindergarten, and a playground. School, kindergarten, playground, school, kindergarten, playground. Same thing over here. And as far as walking goes, these can't quite, right back here, can't quite walk to the heart of downtown. They need to be able to walk to the shopping center and the hospital. If they can get down there, they're typically good to go. So got one bus line running, and as far as the university goes, everybody here can walk to the university except for these flats over here. So that worked out nicely. I've got a bus stop here, a bus stop here. Over here, we do a couple things. We pick up workers to go directly to the slaughterhouse, and I'll show you why in a minute. And we pick up passengers to go over here to drop off, because this is within walking distance of the heart of downtown. So people over here can get their needs met by walking over here as passengers and riding the bus over here. And then we've got over here, this station only picks up students. So people over here who want to go to the headquarters to learn or become indoctrinated can hop here on the bus, on the same bus line, and take the bus going this way over here, drop off, and then they're able to walk from there over to this building and go to the same thing as university. So we've got everybody able to get college education or university education, everybody able to get downtown for needs satisfaction, and plenty of places for them to go to work. I also extended the line down this way. Got a couple of trains running back and forth here, so that folks down here can, if we have students here who have who've gone to enough school to have a 1.0 education, they can hop on this platform right here, and they can go over to the train stop and walk here to get an education. We also have it set up for passengers, so people here, rather than walking down here, can now hop on the train and go down here and go to downtown here. So so this is working very nicely. Now, I did have some problems, and one of the reasons I played ahead, I meant to show you this whole thing as a plan and then build it out on screen and then show you how it's running. And I actually did that and had so many problems with this train line that I just got frustrated, and I kept working on it, and I realized, my God, I've watched it and worked on it so long, I've played I don't know how long, so I just decided to start from here. But here's the deal with this train line. Because we know we've got that issue with the two facing things coming in from both directions is not consistent. It doesn't always work. So I basically built the lines, let the trains go, put the two trains on this one down here, and then cut it off. But the problem I was having is this. What I wanted to do, what I've got up here my plan was, in order to get staffing into these, is to have a train stop here, and then look where it can walk. It can walk to the fire station and these three livestock ranges or ranches. And then another bus stop or a train station over here that can walk to the other three livestock ranges or farms or whatever you want to call them. But it can't walk to the slaughterhouse because all these factory connections get in the way. It's very clumsy to try to get over there. No problem. That's why I have the little bus run from here to get people in here. Remember, we don't need a ton of people in here. 19 is actually kind of overkill because we would need 50 of these. In order to have this fully efficient, there would have to be 50 livestock farms. Now, if we wanted to really pump this thing up and create meat like crazy, what we would do is go out and set up an area that had just a whole bunch of these connected into a train system, and we would have trains regularly running in here and dropping off livestock. Maybe not in here, but we would have a way to deliver livestock into this thing right here. But as it is, we know that if we can just hit 8% efficiency with this, that we're good to go, and we can support the population we have, plus make a little extra on the side. So that's the setup. This is kind of it's hard work to get this to work. You kind of start from the point of view of this, the stockyard, and then you connect these three into. It has 4 connections, so you use 3 of them for ranges, and the 4th either for transportation to move this stuff, or in this case here directly to the slaughterhouse. So that's the basic design of how that works, and this works very well. The staffing is so-so. I mean, it goes through phases where it's mediocre. It needs to be more, and we'll bump up our population here and get more. But back to these trains, I was having what I intended to do. I thought, oh, this is so slick. I love this. This will show everybody how to use this. I was going to set this up, and you see how it says get out 100%. Well, you could actually set the unload, in theory. You could set it down to a lower number. So I'm thinking, all right, great. If I set this thing down to, let's say, to 59%, it won't let me do 50, but okay, that's okay. I wanted a little bit extra to get off at the first stop because we have the fire station here, so we need a few more people on this one, and then the rest could all go over here. So I'm thinking, well, if I have 20 passengers that I pick up, then 11 or 12 of them will get off at the first stop. The other 9 or so will go over to the other one. Perfect. Doesn't work that way. That 59%, as best I can tell, is of the capacity of 115. So like in our case here, we got 65. Let's just see what happens. We got 65 workers on this thing. That's a pretty full train, and they often don't have that many on it. Let's just watch this guy. He's got 65 passengers, and he's working his way up to his first stop. Let's see how many people get off. Well, that was a little weird. Okay, 65, 59, 20. God, you're not telling me it works now. All right. Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to tell him to go ahead and go over here. I could have just had it set up incorrectly. Unload 100%. At this platform, and I'm also going to tell him to go to that platform as his next stop because he's still got people in there. Let's see what he does. If that works, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Oh my word, I think I just had it messed up before. All right, so hold on. So all that heartache I had was just because of a user error, which, that's normal. That's the way it is. So I'm going to change all these guys to work like that. There should be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's got 69. That's too many. Let's watch this guy right here and see what he does. All right, good. 30. Now 30. So 16, 17 people, whatever, should get off here, and then the rest should go on over to the other stop. Let's see if that's what happens. And we've got it. And no, they all got out. Yeah, see, it doesn't work right. What's his problem? Okay, he can't. I changed his line at a bad time, and this is the kind of problem I kept having with it. So that did not work. When he only had 30 in there, he did not take 59% of them and let them out at the first stop. He let everybody out at the first stop. Okay, that guy has 115. All right, let's watch the second. Let's watch both of them. The first guy has 115. The second guy should have a lot less since this guy kind of cleaned things out. He's got a lot too because we had a screw up and everything got slow. Well, let's watch this third guy. So that one worked. He dropped off some at the first one, and he took some more to the second one. That, of course. This guy worked because he's got a lot. Well, he's got a lot too. God, we're just getting a lot more workers now. Well, that's great. I don't know if this works or doesn't work, honestly. I mean, it's working right now, but I don't know if it works with small numbers. Maybe we don't care. As long as they all get there. Okay, we're starting to get more. Sorry, I'm just laughing at myself. I'm sorry. I try to be so organized and have all this straightened up, and I'm just going, oh, huh? So this is actually working, and this is what I originally intended. See that roundabout? I didn't have that roundabout in there. I originally intended these lines to just run back and forth, and just sort of pass through this station here. They stop, of course, but on the way back, they just pass through. And that's a nice, clean line. It's similar to what we did up there near the refinery on our original line. But now with this unloading part of the people, let's see if he still has people in there. Yeah, he still has 10 workers to go to the other place. All right, good. Okay, so how brilliant am I? That's exactly what I wanted it to do. All right. Oh, God. All right, so that's the basic design. I love this city. It works. The people are happy. And by the way, our happiness is great all over the place. However, I went through and turned off. Another thing I did was I turned off the imports, of the meat, the clothing, etc., to see if that was going to work. And here's the other problem that I had. Let's go here. The happiness started dropping, and what happened was we weren't getting food. Well, you want people to leave your country in a hurry. Don't feed them. So I thought, boy, did I underestimate the food requirement or what's going on. So here's, and this is a perfect time to show you. All right, so here's the interesting problem that I've found with the food. You know how our production was okay, but it wasn't blowing away, and this is beautiful. Look at this. This is this is showing what I want to talk about the food, but it's also showing. Remember, I set up the passing lane. So this guy here, let's talk about that real fast. He's going into here, but he has to wait because both tracks are occupied. Well, without these passing lanes, this train here would just be lined up behind him waiting as well. But now I've got these passing lanes, and this guy is probably oil going, he's oil going over here. There's no reason for him to wait, so he just takes the passing lane, and he'll go right around that guy, go through our roundabout, and go over here and do his thing, and then he'll just come back out, and he won't care if this guy ever moves. He'll be able to complete his trip, and if another train came along here, maybe another one of these came along right behind it, he could just take the other passing lane. So we're looking good there. So I'm glad we got to see that in action, or at least in pause. And I'll run it in a second after I talk about the food. So the food, our production was whatever it was, 0 workers. Maybe this wasn't such a perfect time to look. What in the world? Okay, he's got workers. I don't know why we had a lapse in workers. I wonder what happened there. I got 2 trains right behind each other. Something. Wow. I mean, it's again whack-a-mole, one thing after the other. But let me talk about the food. If you remember, and of course 0 is not a very good example of it, but I bumped up the staffing in here and here so that we would get more workers in our clothing And you can see the clothing's going great, 68, 64, 84. So that part is working better and we're producing clothing faster. This part has been working much better and has plenty of people working it. I'm not sure what is going on unless, aha. We've got these trucks waiting to fill up. Well, all kinds of stuff to show you. These trucks, there's only 2 spots here, and I've got these buses running directly to the factory, right? So we need to fix that. It's a little dangerous to have this. The problem is I'm telling these guys, fill up and then go to your other place. So the quick fix would be tell them to get out of there as soon as you don't have to be full, just get moving. And then the other way we could fix it is have the buses run to a bus stop, and I think I'd like to do that. Let's see. Bus platform small. We can put one right there. And then all these vehicles, all of our buses, and we'll let that build. And then, let's see, and we need a path. Let's give them a little bit better road. Let's just go all the way with it. All right, I want you to actually go to this bus stop and not to the food factory. And I'll copy your line. So this part was very confusing for me because it shows 3 buses that are on that line, but I only see 1. And it turns out that the 3 are sitting there on top of each other. It's sort of bad. It's an advantage because they just stack up on top of each other, but it's really obviously not realistic graphically. And it was confusing to me because I could not find the other related vehicles. And plus the way it does that route plan, I didn't know how many vehicles there really were. And every time I clicked on one of these, it kept taking me back to, well, there, it shows me another one, but it's going back to the same place. Then finally I figure out that there's actually 3 vehicles sitting there stacked on. See, there's 3 vehicles, but they're all right there in the same place. It took me a while to figure out that that was actually what was going on. I got so frustrated with trying to figure out which bus was which and what was going on. I ended up actually deleting all 3 of the buses on the existing line and getting 3 new buses to make the run from between the 2 bus stops. Okay, so as we start building up some workers there, now talk about what I wanted to talk about. that problem hadn't happened, and it just takes the right combination of things where we happen to have 2 trucks in there at the same time waiting to get full, and we can't get any buses in there to bring people in, so now the factory shuts down. So now it's back up and running, and it'll actually run pretty well. I mean, we'll have 120 people in there or whatever once this thing really starts working, and we'll also add some more people here. If we have some room, we'll add people, like well, right there. We'll just add, we'll immigrate some more people into this area, grow our population, and these are people who can walk to that stop right there and help us with our work. The other thing is these tend to be highly educated, so I oftentimes will take people from here and move the educated people where I need the education, like out in Artist Gilmore or someplace, and then pump more people back into this system. But so if this is running better, and I apologize I lost the example, but remember we had a train pulling out right here, and this train was just coming in. Well, I added a train here. Now, why did I do that? Because what is happening is we have, not only did I have my little bad routing with the buses, but also had a storage problem. We can't hold but so much food and alcohol in this warehouse. They aren't that big. And with just the one train, well, I didn't realize what was happening, but because there's so many things you want to look at. But what would happen was the train would fill up and take off, and it's got a pretty, involved run it has to make, right? So that takes a while. Well, while it's running, these things are working at a much more efficient pace now that we're getting more people in there. Trust me on that, we really are. And when those people were making a whole bunch of food and alcohol, this would fill up and then they would shut down. So our production, in spite of having more people, wasn't going up, but it wasn't a people problem, it wasn't a resource problem, it was a logistics problem. Didn't have enough trains. So when I added a second train, now we can have a steady flow of trains in there picking up, and these things can keep running. So you have to kind of look at your workers, your resources, and your logistics to make sure that you have everything running. It would be the same thing if we had this guy, we've got him pumped up with a pretty fair number of people now. And if we let these things fill up to where the fuel got filled up and we weren't running enough trains, then we could have the issue where this would shut down, even though we got a lot of people in it, because we weren't getting the oil and bitumen out. Now the clothing it works pretty well, because the clothing is very slow. Look at that, 1.2 a day. That's all it can make. The food can make 20 a day, which is like almost 10 times as much or 10 times as fast at max production. So you got to really watch that. So lesson learned there. All right, so let's talk about what we need to do to keep moving forward. Now, we've got lots of options. We could really keep our head down and try to hit our goals, which I do want to do, but I am open to going other ways with this. I am open to getting into cars. At a minimum, as an export, just to build up the industry and see how you would build an efficient assembly line industry. And we've already got what I believe is, and I don't know a lot about the car industry yet, I haven't looked into it, or the vehicle industry, but we're already producing pretty good steel. And we could ramp this up some more, do some more building in here, bring some more people in, make sure we're maximizing how many people we have. Going to the steel mill, we got plenty of iron. Oh, I mentioned that. I actually have started exporting iron. Well, in fact, the train is just now filling up. It's not a big money deal, but because we have good iron ore now, we're getting good iron ore, and we're getting good production and participation in our iron ore processing. This was filling up, and the steel mill wasn't using it. See, we've still got 950. We've got a full thing here, and we've got a full train over here ready to pull out to export some iron. So we have plenty of iron. The coal we're having to import because, as I covered over here, this mess. And So we could ramp up the steel even more and set up an automobile industry. And I'm thinking maybe even down here. Where? Maybe in this big body of water is a pain because you have to go up here to cross, but no big deal. And we've got a nice, we've got an export here where we could do trains, and we've got power. We could grab power if we needed it. We've got a big flat area right in here. We could think about maybe Zahalas being our vehicle area, and we could build some vehicles and figure out how to ship them back. And in fact, we might even solve our problem here with the getting people to work by, building out, this area over here a little more and giving them some cars and putting some parking lots here and parking lots here and here. And we might be able to solve our problem. But what I can do for sure, we know we can do, is if we build this out and set up some bus lines. So instead of the bus lines here, we can have bus lines from here to go to these sites to work, and then we can have bus lines to go into town to drop people off so they can get their shopping done. So so that's got to be done. We've got to build that up. It's a shame to have all this built and not use it. But it also comes back to kind of what I was saying when I was being a little pessimistic, is if we never built this, we'd be in the same shape. If we never built this, we'd be in the same shape. They really haven't added to our republic that much. But we can turn that around, and we can build this out and get this thing going, and that way we can produce coal that we can get to our steel mill. We can produce our power and stop importing. We've even got a third power plant all built and ready to go. And by the way, regardless of what we do, if we get all this going again, we need another coal mine because we're not producing enough ore. I didn't cover that in the last one when I was going at the numbers, but the numbers clearly show us we're not producing enough coal ore from this one place here. Now, of course, we're flowing in coal ore now because it's the only thing running, and it's just barely running. But we need another coal mine maybe over here and figure out how to get people to it, which we can do. I mean, there's other deposits along here. So a lot to do. Accomplished a fair amount, I think. Very happy with this. The question now becomes, I did put in a pollution monitor, is it far enough away from pollution? It's a little hard to see this, but you can see we're very good right now. The pollution is down to about here. I expect it if we had these, even better working full blast, it might get down in here somewhere. So I think we're good enough. This is probably far enough away, and we can use our little pack rat method to figure out how far. See, the nearest house would be 193 meters, and the nearest pollution would be 109. So we're about 400 meters from here to here, roughly, and that's probably okay. I know the number that's floating around on Steam was 500 meters, but I feel like somebody made that number up. I don't know if we really, maybe it was a tested number, I don't know. But this seems to be okay. We can look at that and make sure. So later on we'll look at the pollution, see if it's creeping down and hurting us in this city. But again, finish on a positive note, this works nicely. And as you can see, it's getting more and more efficient. It's getting better, and we can keep adding people into this. They can take more people, and we can make sure our meat goes well. I mentioned that storage with the food. It's the same thing here. The problem here is the storage is only 75 tons. That's not a lot. Now we're not producing a whole lot, per day. But our target was 10, which means that it would take, if we really had this rolling, it would take about a little over a week to fill that up. Well, that means that a train has to get back here in a week. Now, we don't have any kind of route information, so I don't know how long it takes these trains to run. And I originally set this up to go to all 4 of our cities, to go down to Nashville, to go over to Mocha, to go up to Artist Gilmore, and to go up to Virov. But I ended up making 2 trains and splitting it, so I've got a southern and a northern run. So this one here, which is empty and is on its way back, went up to Artist Gilmore. Then it went up here. This is actually the Virov area, and dropped off. And then it went up to Borislav and exported into the Western Bloc. So for the meat there. And then this other train, you can see it is still has a lot of meat. It has gone to Nashville and made a drop off. It's going to Molka now to make a drop off, and then it will go export to at Molna to the Eastern Bloc, and it'll come back. Now the reason I split them in 2 is to make their runs faster, so they can go to 2 places instead of 4, and we get trains back here faster so that this doesn't fill up. So that's what I did with that. All right, so I don't know what else to tell you except we're caught up. I think our plan right now is watch how well we're providing everything. Keep an eye on this food to see if adding the second train is going to dramatically improve our production. Money's not a problem now. Money is, not a problem. We made a pretty good month there. If we go back and make it in 2 months, 1.7 million rubles, $500,000 surplus. Money's not our issue anymore. Our issue now is just optimizing our logistics, cleaning up our mess right here, and just watching everything see if it keeps going. And I will say, put in the comments if you really want me to go into the cars, we can do that, no problem. I don't want to deviate from the plan, so to speak, in terms of hitting the goals. I do want to hit them, but if cars are cool, which I think they are, and folks have said they're the coolest industry in the game, so we'll see. We'll see about that. And one more addendum. I'm very open also to doing more construction management. I've kind of intended to play this one time boxed and doing more auto building, and we've worked in some construction management, but it's kind of ironic that the 2 areas we did construction management on are the 2 that aren't helping us, but that had nothing to do with construction management. That's just the way it worked out. But anyway, I'm very open to doing more construction management through the rest of this series if you would like to see that. So I'd like you to comment on, do you want more construction management, and do you want cars? And let me know in your comments about that, and we'll go from there. Now, what I really intended to do was finish off this series as a time-boxed, goal-oriented one, and then if we still like this, if I'm still interested in playing the game, you still want to see more videos, we could do a whole new series where we did it more like construction management from the get-go, and tried to build as much as we could with our own hands, so to speak. And if we do that, what to make me interested in it, we're going to have a whole new set of goals, which are more time-forgiving, because construction management is slow. But be that as it may, we could come up with reasonable goals that included a lot of construction management. So again, let me know in your comments, do you want to see more construction management? Do you want to see the assembly line stuff, the vehicle production? Just let me know. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Workers and Resources Soviet Republic video. Thank you.